Before we get started today, of course, it is Tuesday, but you know that. If you're listening to this on time, if you're not, hey, pretend it's Tuesday or celebrate the day of the week that you are listening to this on. Today on the show, we're going to have a TikTok person, a celeb, a TikTok celebrity. Olivia is Artsy, is the TikTok page. We'll tell you more about Olivia, and we're going to talk to Olivia today on Lunch with Doug. Welcome to another great episode of Lunch with Doug. I'm going to get you in the mood for the week with a little bit of groovy. Here you go. Today's episode of Lunch with Doug is produced by the Music Exerbia Project and made possible by these great sponsors. The Hairy Frog Graphics at 150 North Commercial Street in Nevada, Missouri, 417-381-1077. Karen McNair, the Friendly Neighborhood Nutritionist, 269-267-4644. Impact Graphics, 14144 East Highway 54 next to Mr. D's, 417-283-2056. John's Barbershop at 121 West Cherry Street, open Tuesday through Friday, now with 2 barbers for faster service. Nevada Tobacco and Convenience Store, 125 West Cherry Street, open 7 days a week on the south side of the Nevada Square. I'm your host, Dangerous Doug Harper. Thank you for spending your lunchtime with me. In the heart of America, across 12 states, there's a pulse, a rhythm, a beat. It's the sound of creativity, of passion, of dreams taking flight. It's the sound of the Local Ear magazine. At the Local Ear, we believe in the power of art, in the magic of music, in the beauty of self-expression. We're more than just a magazine. We're a community, a network of musicians, artists, and performing arts professionals. From the seasoned professional to the budding amateur, from the classically trained to the self-taught, we are united by a common thread, our love for the arts. When you subscribe to the Local Ear, you're not just getting a magazine. You're getting a backstage pass to the world of art and music. You're getting the dream, the production, the marketing, the team, the resources, the journey. Every issue of the Local Ear is a labor of love, a testament to the power of creativity and a celebration of art in all its forms. Are you ready to take your art to the next level? Are you ready to join a community that believes in you, that supports you, that celebrates you? Are you ready for your art to succeed? Welcome to the world of Local Ear magazine. Subscribe today. www.localearmagazine.com. Dangerous Doug Harper back with you on Lunch with Doug, and as promised today, Olivia is on the phone. How are you, Olivia?
I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, how about yourself?
Well, I'm fantastic. I'm really excited I've seen your TikToks and been following you for a while, and I'm just excited to get to talk to you on the show about your musical creations and your TikTok experience and everything.
Oh, yeah, me too. I'm grateful for the opportunity. I'm glad we get to do it.
I was talking to you before we got on the air here. You said you had quite a musical past. You've got your parents were both musicians and heavily into music, and so you've been doing music for a long time.
Yeah, I've been playing music since I was about 9. Yeah, but my family, I grew up in a family of musicians. So my dad is primarily a guitarist and plays a little piano, and my mom plays drums, and I just kind of grew up surrounded by music, so I naturally really wanted to learn how to play something. So I took guitar at a local music store. I just started taking guitar lessons, and kind of shortly thereafter I had learned a lot of 50s and 60s kind of music, and that was kind of the stuff I grew up on, was a lot of blues and jazz and early rock and roll, and I started playing in front of audiences shortly thereafter, so around age 10.
Wow. So you were performing at age 10 for audiences. That's fantastic.
It was an interesting childhood for sure.
So now, I'm not sure what video I first stumbled onto, but of course I discovered you on TikTok. Just something, either you popped up in the feed or something of that nature. And of course the guitar caught my attention, but you were immediately just doing these riffs and these licks, and it was really just right on, and I was like, oh man, I was like, Olivia is artsy. It's a fantastic title you've got.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I feel like that is an adjective it's often how I describe myself to friends. So I was like, oh, I guess I'll make a TikTok and start posting videos and stuff.
Yeah, it's really a clever name because I don't grab a genre when I see you. I don't say, oh, Olivia plays this type of music. It's just it's you, and it really is just what you do, and sometimes it's fast and riffy, and sometimes it's kind of mellow and sad, and it's just the spectrum of types of music kind of influenced together to come out with this great your own genre almost.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I honestly that's kind of the case for me. Is I feel when people ask me for music recommendations, or friends will say oh, who are you listening to lately, or who would you recommend? It's always very hard for me to come up with one or two people or anything like that, just because I have listened to everything, or I listen to everything from rap to mariachi music to pop, and I kind of just am whatever, if it sparks my interest, I'm oh, I'm gonna listen to this for a while and explore this genre. So I kind of go all over the place with what I listen to.
Yeah, it's cool. And I've seen some of your videos are more acoustic, and then some of them are you're more electric sounding, and then occasionally there's some performance videos of you are actually, I believe, in doing a gig. And it's just a really cool thing.
Thank you so much.
I haven't been able to experience any of your art elsewhere out of TikTok, so I thought, well, I'll just save it for the conversation. What is kind of your focus?
Right now, a lot of my focus and the stuff that I've been working on is I'm waiting for my debut solo album to come back from getting mastered. I've been working on recording that for a little bit over the last year or so at Northfire Recording in Amherst, Massachusetts. I'm based out of Western Mass, so I've been recording that. And when I was in high school and things like that, I played in a band in high school, but we had released an album. But what I really wanted to do was to release an album of all original material that I wrote, and I had this vague idea when I went into it of oh, I wonder if I can do an album where I'm playing almost every instrument and writing the songs and playing doing all the vocals and stuff like that. And I kind of wasn't positive I could pull it off when I first thought of the idea. But I've been working with this engineer, and his name is Andrew Atkin, and he's like so cool and so supportive and so helpful. And I've just been working on that, and the album is going to be called Just Enough, and I believe it'll probably be out by the summer at the very latest. I'm basically in the final stages of finishing it.
It's going to sound like a band, but it's going to ultimately be you doing all of the parts.
Definitely. It's been me overdubbing multiple different instruments and vocals, and it's been really fun because I feel like I kind of have a uniquely me approach to a lot of different instruments. I think it's just interesting how like different musicians like approach an instrument in their own way. Like you could hear someone play drums, but like because of the personality and because of who that person is, like one drummer doesn't sound like this person and they sound a little different than this person, because it's like everybody's personality comes out through their instrument, and I really find that cool.
So how will your album come out? Is this a digital? Will it be in physical format? How do you get your music out to people?
So it's going to be a strictly digital release for this one. It will be on my website, which is www.olivianeed.com. And then it'll also be probably on Bandcamp and then all of the major streaming platforms eventually. So like Spotify and Amazon Music and Apple Music and places like that. So it'll be both available directly from my website, but also from all of the places where you can stream music.
Very cool. Now you'll be able to buy it on your website, or your website being Bandcamp?
My website, you'll be able to purchase it if you are inclined to purchase my music. Yeah, you can buy it directly from my website, and I'll eventually have some merch up there too and stuff. Then it has a built-in streaming like player. And I want to make it more of like a personal experience too, because if you like download it from my website or something I was thinking of doing was doing like little sketches for like each song, or like you get this little drawing for like the single, or like something so it feels more, it feels less like you're disconnected, like you feel more connected and involved with like what the artist is doing. And I feel weird saying describing myself as an artist. It feels too pompous.
That's exactly what I would call you. You're an artist. I love it. So do you do other stuff besides music? Do you draw, paint, any of this stuff?
I do a couple different things. I mean, interestingly enough, I primarily do drawings. I have a weird comedic side where I really like making little silly comedic videos. I make my TikTok is like, if I were to describe it to people, they're like, oh, what's your overriding themes? And I'm like, I just post videos of me playing guitar or like stuff I'm working on. Sometimes I post art, sometimes it's comedic skits, and sometimes it's just me saying, funny commentary on all things autism related, and that's basically it.
Yeah, it's great. So now you gig around out there on the East Coast some. What kind of venues do you play at?
I've been trying to, with the release of my album, I'm really hoping that this can get me into another rung of performing, because I primarily have been playing at places that are mostly like restaurants and bars and stuff that sort of, they do music, but it's more as like a side thing. It's not their main focus. So I've really wanted to play in more like upscale venues, or at least things that are above bars and restaurants where people kind of come there for the music. So it's been primarily like places like that. But I also like, because I'm very close to Northampton and places like that, I do tend to like find as many like queer spaces to play in and things like that. But yeah, I guess I'm just really I'm hoping that I'll be able to play places that are more like focused on music, and that's like their main thing.
Because you don't really play covers, do you? Or do you? When you perform live?
I do sometimes in my live shows, less and less now than I used to. When I was younger, I used to play a lot more covers, but I've like amassed like a pretty large catalog of original material at this point. So I've been able to do shows that are entirely original compositions.
That's fantastic. And a lot of artists that really want to do that, I find it funny when I talk to some artists and they really want to be that, but then they kind of just, for some reason, they don't like push themselves to that. They just always will be like, okay, I'll just play the cover songs. And I'm like, no, man, this is great, what you've got, you know? So
yeah,
it's tricky. And when you're in a restaurant, like, the audience sometimes doesn't necessarily, they don't know what they're getting into. It's just kind of like it's there, and then they're like, play Freebird. you know?
It's kind of like, I've been doing it for so long that regardless of like if it's like a place with a stage and a whole sound system and a sound person and stuff, or it's like doing it yourself in a basement or a bar or something, I kind of just go into wherever I'm going, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna do my thing and do what I do, and we'll see how people respond to it.
Yeah, that's definitely the right attitude. It really doesn't matter to the music consumers. It does ultimately, but they're coming there to be entertained from some music, and so they'll take it and appreciate it a lot. Do you get that feeling?
I mean, I think some of the most memorable experiences for me, they weren't at all about like whether I was paid at all or whether I was like paid a small amount. It was about the fact that like someone would, come up to me afterwards and say that, like, mention a specific lyric I wrote or a specific subject I was talking about and say, like, hey, that really, like, spoke to me, or, like, thank you for talking about that experience. And, like, and that's been stuff that's, like, touched me, I guess, and, like, really stuck with me is when that kind of thing happens.
Yeah, definitely. Because they really got something out of what you had to offer, or your story and stuff. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's important. It feels good when somebody's really, I guess, they're receiving what you're dishing out, sort of, right? Is that how they say it? Is that how really, the hipsters say it, maybe?
Right. No, that's a good way of putting it, actually.
So yeah. So all right, you got the website, you got an album on the way. Are you gonna do any videos for the album?
It's definitely something I've entertained. I haven't really put any of the ideas into motion yet, but I am kind of like a pretty visual thinker, so a lot of the times I wouldn't be very good at executing like a music video myself per se, but I am good at coming up with like a concept and kind of explaining like, hey, I have these visual ideas that might represent this specific song well, and then explaining that to someone else who can like sort of work with me on that. So that would be something in the future, probably the later future, but I would love to do it. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, I guess, of course, you'll do TikTok videos, but they may not be the same kind of video. They'll be TikTok videos.
Right. They'll just be, like, me throwing something together and not necessarily a professional music video, per se.
Yeah. And that's just the way it is now. I mean, I've been watching Sheryl Crow. You remember Sheryl Crow?
Yeah, for sure.
I've been watching Sheryl on the TikTok a bunch, and yeah, the stuff that they're putting out is just real, like, I mean, it looks good, like it's probably a professional camera, but not, it's not too, just kind of sitting there in one place, just like most of us would do. And then, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, the other day, Sheryl was playing the accordion on there.
Yeah, right.
She did her song, but did it accordion style. It was kind of cool.
That is really cool.
So I was like, and it really caught my attention because at first I wasn't even sure it was Sheryl Crow, and I'm like, oh no, that's really Sheryl Crow.
Yeah.
I thought it was just somebody who looked like him. And I was like, nope, that's the real Paige.
Yeah.
So that was fun, So
for sure.
So I've seen a lot of TikTok videos where they kind of like it's almost like a diary sort of, and they kind of like what's going on in their lives, and that's kind of cool. And then I've seen like the ones that are it's just like a person singing song after song. There's always kind of like a little beat to things, and I know you've already kind of touched on you do a little bit of comedy and you do a little bit of music and arts and stuff. But what is it your favorite to produce on TikTok?
Honestly, I mean, I would say that like all the things that I do on there represent like different facets of me, but it's probably like it would probably be the top two things I like doing is like music is probably the first thing. Like I feel like that is like probably the heart of who I am as a person. So a lot of things that I like, even if I'm posting a song in progress that I'm working on, or just like me running through stuff for a future show, that's like probably my favorite thing. And then secondary is just me doing any kind of comedic thing. I also like, I really like any kind of comedic thing. I really go into deep dives on like psychology and things like that. So sometimes I will like talk about that kind of thing, but music is definitely like the top thing.
How do you feel about like how TikTok works, where you can like, you know, people can make videos and they can put your song in it and stuff?
It's kind of been one of those things that like I truthfully haven't like given a lot of thought to. I think primarily because I just haven't like, I guess it's just not for me like videos that I stumble upon very often and stuff. But I mean, I'm definitely open to like, I fully support the idea of like, if what I do and like what I'm writing about like speaks to you and your experience, and or you just like it and you want to dance to it and film your friends dancing to it on TikTok, like by all means, like please go for it. Like that's how I feel about it in general. I mean, like if someone gets, I'm all about kind of radical joy. So if someone gets joy out of something, then I let them do their thing.
Yeah, absolutely. You have like 10,000 followers, which is fantastic. I'm like, what? 10,000 followers? That's like huge.
Yeah, I don't, it's funny, I don't really know how that happened. I mean, I guess like, I feel like everyone who is a TikTok person, they get interviewed and they're like, I don't know how that happened, but I genuinely don't, because I think it's like something that I've just been kind of like noticing is like, I feel like a lot of TikToks stick to like one or two or three subjects and kind of curate the videos around that. And I feel like I kind of, when I made my TikTok originally, I just kind of treated it like as if it were a blog or something like that. I think that's like how I think about TikTok as a social media site for me, is I kind of am just like, oh, I'm gonna like use this as a blog to post my ideas. So it ends up not being very curated, but it definitely isn't predictable, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's enough variety that keeps it interesting. That's the other thing that can happen to the ones that are, even though it's great what they're doing, it's very fantastic, but you know, people just are like, oh, it's the same, even though it's different, it's like the same thing that they've saw before, so they can't, unless they just really love it, they can get bored kind of easy. Yours does surprise me. I don't know what to expect sometimes, so I'm like, ooh, something different. Right. What's going on today?
When I do eventually release my solo album and things like that, the overriding, like the thing that I'm really hoping people get from my music, or just like take away, or something that is like important to, regardless of whatever genre or styles influence what I'm doing, is I feel a lot of joy about the little things in life and like small moments. So I think a lot of my music, it hopefully at least, reflects how I experience joy, and I'm hoping that people can get that from it, or it comes across, because I think that's like something that we could all benefit from, like more of that.
I definitely get joy out of your videos. You're fun. You're fun people, Olivia. Fun people.
Right, so, for sure.
If they want to get in touch with you, they want to book you for a show, how do they do that? Is that information on your website?
Oh, yeah, that's the primary way I would go if you want to get in touch with me, even if that's like sending a note, or that's like booking a show. There's a booking form on one of the pages on my website, and you can just, it's like, I think it says contact me or something, and you can send, it'll ask you for your email or whatever preferred contact method you want, and you can book me right through my website.
Awesome. So I'm excited. I'm going to go to it immediately when I get done here.
An email list where you can get like updates on where I'll be next and what I'm currently working on, and there's a like a tab too for dates of like upcoming tour dates and like where I'm playing next. Like I have a show in coming up in Queens that I'm playing, so that'll be fun.
This sounds really exciting. I mean, I knew you were like big time, but this is really good. I'm getting really excited about this website.
Oh, great! I'm really glad. Also, this has been really nice to talk to you too, because I tend to get pretty nervous on the phone, but you have a very comforting like radio presence and stuff. So this was actually relatively easy, which is nice. Yeah,
it's been a delight having you, Olivia. Stay in touch with me. Keep me up to date, and maybe we can have you on again once the album's out, too.
I would love that. Yeah, thank you so much. This has been great, and I would love to stay in touch. Let's definitely do that.
All right, thanks. That is Olivia is Artsy on TikTok, folks. Go find the TikTok. You're going to love it. It's great music. It's a great page. And again, the website, I will put the links to all this in the description below of the podcast, wherever you're listening to that. And it's just been wonderful to have you with us today at lunchtime. Thanks for spending your lunchtime with us, and I will see you again tomorrow. Today's episode of Lunch with Doug is produced by the Music Exerbia Project and made possible by these great sponsors. The Hairy Frog Graphics at 150 North Commercial Street in Nevada, Missouri, 417-381-1077. Karen McNair, the Friendly Neighborhood Nutritionist, 269-267-4644. Impact Graphics, 14144 East Highway 54 next to Mr. D's, 417-283-2056. John's Barbershop at 121 West Cherry Street, open Tuesday through Friday, now with 2 barbers for faster service. Nevada Tobacco and Convenience Store, 125 West Cherry Street, open 7 days a week on the south side of the Nevada Square.